Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Raceface GT3 Sprint Series Season 9, Round number 6 at Snetterton. My name is Stephen Koenig, and not in the box this evening, is actually racing this evening, is Jan Price. He's out doing some GT3 racing, so he'll be out of action. But welcome to Snetterton here in the UK, and we're going to be rocking and rolling with some fantastic action. And let's actually head down to the qualifying that's just started to go and see the guys making their way around and see where they end up. Good evening to Jean Roberta going and jumping in the Raceface grandstands, and to you guys all in the Raceface grandstands. Glad to have you guys here. Absolutely tremendous stuff. So let's talk about Snetterton while we take a look at the cars as they make their way around. Snetterton, a very difficult circuit that is going to challenge the drivers under braking, keeping their cool head under some very difficult circumstances. So we're really looking forward to seeing how this is all going to work their way around as the race goes on. Now, a couple of caveats that do come into play for a place like Snetterton, where it's all about trying to push the boundaries. You got to ensure that your tires and brakes are absolutely at optimum temperature before you go for any attack. It is 26 degrees out there, so do expect the tires to warm up rather quickly, but that also means tire degradation will be at an all-time high. It is 23 degrees ambient temperature, 26 on circuit, so we'll see what the guys will be able to do as they make their way around the circuit. A couple of interesting things as the championship has gone along. Guys have been moving their way up and down through the field, so let's actually take a look at the current driver standings for our pro division, which is on the screen at the moment. Ryan Otten's in first place, SES in second, Hedian Reina, Christian Venter, Daniel Demetrius Petro, Brandon Kruger, Mahaya Musa, Van der Merwe, and Sanjay Pillay in ninth, along with Conrad Volskink, who is out on circuit as well. Tini Nkube in 11th place, being Mr. Consistency, has done really, really well. And let's see how it's going to go. So a couple of guys really looking forward to moving their way through. Not quite sure how it's all going to work here at Snetterton, because if you lose a bit of time, you absolutely going to get caught out. A couple of things have happened during the course of the series. Andre Serradio, who is in the Mercedes, landed up with a penalty of 30 seconds the last time, and that was for contacts. So unfortunately, he's going to be playing a little bit of catch up through the race, but we've seen him do it really, really well. But all eyes are out at the front and the sharp end of the field, so let's see how the guys are going to do. Taking a look, we've got Conrad Volskink so far, 3 minutes 2 as he came out the pits. He is trying to get going in the KSR Popo car. That is a bit of a homage to our police force here in South Africa, which is always great to see the guys just giving a little bit of a homage to it and also being quite recognizable. Daniel de Villiers out in second place. He is trying to make up a bit of ground. There was slight contact at the likes of, well, it wasn't slight contact, it was actually diving out the way at our previous race in the wet, so he had to take evasive maneuvers and lost out first place and had to really try and pull his way back. So the PWSR Alpha driver hoping that he can move his way up to the front and looking to get a little bit more. Very, very confident, especially after a great run in the Endurance Championship round number 1 that actually happened over the course of the weekend. So they're in high spirits, which is always good to see. Then we got third place, Jan van der Merwe, who is for ZRC Scuderia, going and having a bit of fun out there, chasing down his teammate, utilizing the toe. He's lying in third with a time of a 1:47.7. Quickest lap time was done by Christian Venter, was 1:47.1. Expected to get a little bit quicker. Morgan McCall back out on circuit, which is always great to see. Morgan really hoping to get a little bit more of a run. And Robert and Junior McCall are going and keeping a very close eye on Morgan. Darren Miller, also part of the PWSR brand, for the PWSR Bravo, looking to move his way forward. And also been a bit of a dark horse at this point, where he gets some serious pace underneath him and can really close down on the leaders quite quickly. So keep an eye out on him. Lamborghini seems to be quite a strong one here at Snetterton. Then we have got Jason Absmeyer lying in 6th. Alan Patterson also going and being consistent, clawing his way up. He's actually dropped his down to 9th because Ryan Otten's going and putting himself in 1st place, getting into the toe. And Christian Venter for Evolved Racing Phoenix out in 2nd place. Justin Lotus jumping up to 3rd. Time starting to come down. Ryan Otten's at a 1:46.7, while Christian Venter did a 1:47.127. Now, for you guys out there, we do have live timing being put out, so for everyone that wants to go and see all the live timing of the racing that's currently going on, we do have pit wall. Just go and look up Raceface. We'll also put it in the chat for you guys to keep up to date with all the live timing at home for all the great action. Nicholas Manuel out in 5th. Daniel De Villiers down into 6th. Now, with the race becoming a little bit more of a difficult one, it is a 55-minute race with 1 mandatory pit stop. Round 6 means that we're over the halfway mark. We're now heading towards the closing stages of this championship, this 8-round championship. So all the drivers are looking to try and maximize their points as much as possible. Quan Duplessis of the Project Vapor, gotta take my hats off to this gentleman. Finished in the top 10 in the endurance and solo drived the 8-hour of Imola. So he's looking to carry on that top 10. He's carrying on that pace and looking to try and move himself forward. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do as he gets his teeth in it. Tini and Kube also, I see that he actually jumped up into 12th place for the Spinello Esports. Tini and Kube coming back onto the track. He was actually racing in the TCR Championship, the iRacing TCR Championship last night. So getting back behind a rear-wheel drive car, a little bit shorter, well, a bit longer, a little bit more powerful. He's looking to try and close down the gap as well. So let's see how it's all going to work out for our drivers as they make their way around. 7 minutes to go. And so far, Mahayev Musa off to a great run. He manages to put himself into 8th place. Was 0.2 up on his time. And the Project Vapor driver really showing off what he can do, trying to chase it down. Eric Verstappen also for Team Triad Hot Stuff, making his way around the circuit and pulling off just to ensure that he gets out of the way of other drivers. Now, this is one of these circuits that you can hold up the drivers a little bit too much. So if you're going to get that banker lap in and pull off, well, best get right out of the way and off the racing line. And I think that's going to be a concern for a lot of our leaders to try and make their way around. Bernard Barkhuizen down in 30th place at the moment, trying to make his way around the KSR factory team, trying to claw their way back up. William Wentworth, old wild William Wentworth, having a bit of fun out there. He is in 29th position. Actually, a bit of a funny story with William Wentworth. He managed to break the paddle shifters on his steering not so long ago, which has baffled a lot of his teams and friends. Taking a look back to our grandstand, so we've got Ethan Lacuna saying, how's it? Good to see you out there. And to you guys, thank you very much for joining us here at Raceface for the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. It's good to see you all returning. And if you just joined us and this is your first time here, hit the subscribe button along with the bell notification icon. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers and we're at 894 subscribers the last time I saw. So we are getting there, folks, to get that 1,000 subscriber mark, which is a massive milestone, especially with the number of years that Raceface has been around. It is just an absolute climb at this point. So if you want to keep up to date with all the Raceface action, hit that subscribe button along with the bell notification that's on to the side of it. Moving back, Christian Venter, 0.1 up on his lap time. Daniel Petro is 0.2 up on his previous lap time. He's trying to get a little bit more pace and claw his way through. So let's see how he's going to do. Graham Monton also moving his way up. I see Mahayev Musa jumping up into 2nd place with his last lap time. So that's really good to see the Project Vapor driver really focusing on the hard charge. And this is the thing. You want to be at the front for this circuit because you want to ensure that you can get in and out of the corners nice and quickly and not get caught up in a serious concertina effect, which usually happens around turn 4. Where the guys land up in a massive concertina effect. You land up dropping all the way down, and your gearing also gets a little bit off. See Daniel Petro going up into 2nd place, going in, pushing Mahayev Musa down. Daniel De Villiers, he is in 4th at the moment. Christian Venter trying to better his lap time. He's 0.1 up on his last lap time. Gideon Rayner is currently in 6th, Nicholas Manuel in 7th, 8th is Morgan McCall, Jason Abschmeyer in 9th, 10th is Grant Sebastian, Bernard Barkhuizen, Eric Hustain, Jan van der Merwe, Justin Lotus, Graham Motan, Tinian Kube, Quan Duplessis, Darren Miller, S.E. Esterhuis also making his way out into circuit now. Conrad Fulschink, Jean-Ray Bertha in 21st, 22nd Andre Serradio. Remember, he suffered that 30-second penalty for last race, so he's looking on a big charge at the moment, but really doing well with Mercedes. It seems to come and go as it makes its way through. But yes, agreed. Ethan, hit that like button as well. If you don't like it, go and hit the down. We'd love to hear the feedback from you guys. Alan Patterson in 23rd, 24th is Romano Yonka. Dean Kabasa out in 25th as Tim the cameraman going and showing off the crowd. Good seeing we got Tim the cameraman. Tennis Bertha in 26th, 27th is Cameron Bastos. 28th is Graham Mole. William Wentworth in 29th. 30th is Loic Randall at the moment. So, and while our cars make their way around the circuit, just a little bit of information about Tim the cameraman. Did you know that Tim the cameraman was the manager of Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May without them even knowing how much work he was putting in? That's Tim the cameraman. That's how connected he is. As our drivers make their way around the circuit, you can see the Hybrid Academy guys trying to utilize a little bit of slipstream over one another to try and pull each other along with some incredible straights. They have to ensure that they can try and get as much pace as possible. And this is where having a teammate will come in handy. Ryan Ottens, he's trying to improve his last lap time. He's actually pulling one of his, I think he is actually pulling the likes of, trying to see that number, that might be Justin Lotus that he's pulling along just in the slipstream, trying to get them towards the front. Christian Fenter down in second place, trying to make a bit more pace. Was actually quicker through turn 1 than the rest of the field. Let's see if he can keep it up. He's 0.1 up on the entire quickest lap time, and gonna really try and push as hard as he can. Now, Snetterton is a difficult circuit mainly because of its pit stop, and that is a bit of a weird one for us to say, but it's because the pit lane starts just as you come out of the exit of the final corner. You have to really try and tuck it in. That's a little bit further than you tuck it in, so you've got to hang as close to the left hand side as possible and then pull in, and it's very, very short to be able to get your pit limiter on. So that's going to affect the drivers, and they're going to have to figure out what's going to claw their way through, what's going to be most beneficial for them as they make their way around the circuit. So as our drivers make up time, Alan Patterson jumping up to 3rd place. Now, Alan Patterson is quite familiar with the circuit and has said that it's not his strongest circuit, but it is a circuit that he does feel like positive results will come from it. And at the moment, he's showing it off. And I think that Lamborghini, from what I've been told by the other drivers, that a lot of rear rotation does help out. So things like the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, Porsches will have a bit of advantage. Nicholas Manuel, though, breaking the mold on that, utilizing the BMW to try and just use the front engine to brute force its way around. And he's having a good run at it. He's been really keeping consistent this season. We'll have to see how it all turns out as the guys make their way through. Morgan McCall stopped in the pits, getting himself all sorted out. Daniel Demetrio Petro looking to move forward. He's in 6th place. Daniel De Villiers 0.1 up on his lap time. Jason Abschmeyer 0.2 up on his last lap time. He's trying to improve as well. Jan van der Merwe a little bit further down, coming across the line, was 0.2 up on his last lap time. Doesn't pick him up out at 12th just as yet, but is trying a bit hard to go and close down the gap as well. This is what's getting very, very interesting towards the end of the season. And with the drivers getting used to likes of, how can I say, getting used to the new 55-minute race, it's all about monstrous charge right to the end. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, as we get down to the nitty-gritties of it though, Alan Patterson 0.2 up on the rest of the field. He's trying to make his way through, loses out a bit of time. Daniel De Villiers is trying to make that time up. He's lying in 4th place, but also just losing out on that last delta. So a couple of guys really trying to pull it out the bag. Ryan Otten's coming across the line. He's done and dusted. Christian Venter opting that he's going to pit. Alan Patterson's going to keep pushing. Couple of bollards have been knocked, and that tells me the guys are out braking themselves just ever so slightly, which is causing a little bit of a stir. Alan goes off circuit though. That's going to signal the end of his run for qualifying. Daniel de Villiers doing the same, going and stopping the car. So a couple of guys going and just opting that they are out due to deltas just being a little bit too far down. Bernard Barkhuizen up 0.3 on his last, and he's trying to improve. Gideon Rayner just ahead. He's also trying to improve. Gideon Rayner's been having quite a time in the Porsche. It's been some positive, been some negative, but he has really kept it consistent as he comes across the line. And that moving him up into 8th place. So great job for him to do that. Now Bernard Barkhuizen coming across the line. He's 0.3 up. He moves up into 7th place, just getting ahead of Morgan McCall. All right, well, as our drivers make their way coming across, we will be moving over to the grid as they come to the line. So let's head back up to the commentary box while every driver gets themselves sorted out. But a great run so far with the likes of Ryan Ottens, Christian Venter. It is going to be a close run between the two. Alan Patterson and Daniel de Villiers, 2 PWSR cars looking to take the chase. And let's see how they're going to perform up at the sharp end of the field. They haven't had too much of a, well, Alan Patterson hasn't had too much of a run at the sharp end of the field. So let's see if that's going to make a bit of a difference as we get ready to rock, roll, and rumble through the field. So far, 30 cars have lined up on the line, ladies and gentlemen, which is absolutely incredible for a field this size, especially this late into the season. We start to see a slight taper off in terms of drivers coming to the end of the season. But so far, everyone's going strong right to the end, and that's because the championship is a bit more open right through the field. And this is our pro class. We do have a Pro-Am, an Am, a Gold, and a Silver currently racing as well. They racing simultaneously, so we've got servers filled up. So no matter your skill level, you're able to go racing and have a huge amount of fun and really slug it out with the best and best in South Africa, as well as go and race within your own skill level. So it's always, it's always a bit of a worrying to see the faster guys out at the front and you just sitting there going, well, I don't think I'm fast enough to catch him, but there might be someone that you faster than as you go through. So something to keep an eye out for. 55-minute race, 1 mandatory pit stop. This is going to change how things work for a lot of drivers, so they're going to have to figure out what is going to be the best benefit for them as they move forward. Once again, we do have that pit wall available for you guys to watch all the live timing. We're going to post a link now if we can get that all sorted. I know the guys are working a bit frantically, so we're going to give you a direct link in the chat for everyone to go and enjoy the live timing on pit wall. So if you are interested in the nitty-gritties of the race, that's the way to do it. Right, as our field now makes their way through, let's go and take a look at the grid walk. So the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series going and having a bit of fun. Ryan Ottens in first place, Christian Venter in second place, Alan Patterson in third, Daniel de Villiers in fourth. Then we have got the likes of Jason Abschmein, Nicholas Manuel going and also having a bit of fun. Bernard Barkhuizen, Morgan McCall in eighth. Then we've got Gideon Rayner, Justin Lotus, along with Daniel Dematros Petro, Mahayath Musa, Conrad Volsking, Jan van der Merwe, Guillaume Mouton, Eric Costain. Then we've got SESA's Grant Sebastian also going and having a bit of fun through the field. Tinian Kube, Quan Duplessis, Darren Miller, Cameron De Bastos, Dean Kabasa, Ramona Yonka, Jean-Ray Bertha, Andre Soradio, Tiernas Bertha, Graham Moll, Loic Randable, and rounding out the field is William Wentworth looking to take the charge. So, as we line ourselves up and get ready to have a bit of fun here at Snetterton, A circuit that is a bit loved and hated by all the sim drivers. Everyone trying to warm up their brakes and tires. So far, Ryan Otten's going to be leading out the field, but is concerned with having Mr. Venter right behind him, and Alan Patterson, along with Daniel the Hitman de Villiers, setting his sights, looking to pull the trigger and go for that first place. He's hoping that he can get a bit of a jump on his teammate. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Are we going to start seeing some teammate plays in this race, especially with it being round number 6? We've got Jason Absmeyer. He's a little bit further back to help with his teammates. So Christian Venter out in second, Jason Absmeyer in fifth, looking to try and close down that gap. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to also get a little bit of a run. As we saw, Nicholas Manuel busy trying to push the grid a little bit to try and get the guys a little bit more forward and up through the field. They want to try and get the guys speeding up. We do have, once they come to a line, you have to hold 70 kilometers an hour. Ensure that you do not jump the gun, because if you jump the gun, you'll end up with a drive-through penalty, and that instantly goes and hurts your race. So the guys have to be well aware of it and keep themselves in check. Once again, though, you can be caught sleeping, and when we've talked to you about sleeping on the line, that means that you're going and just waiting. You're very slow to the throttle, and in a grid like this, you will go land up smack bang in the middle of the pack, actually falling backwards. You become a bit of a mobile chicane at that point, so a lot of drivers have to be very aware of it, especially going on the circuit where the braking marker into turn 1 is as far left as possible. To see everyone start shuffling over and ensure that they can get a little bit more of a run. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how the guys move forward. But there is a bit of a shot through the field, and go a bit of a shot down, and you can see Ryan Ottens with Christian Venter closing them down, making sure that they're going to get a little bit of a run. As we get ready to go, though, lined up on the line, as they get ready to charge, and away they go, off to a cracker of a start for round number 6. As you can see, Alan Patterson locking down that middle, ensuring Jason Absmeyer trying to come around. Jason Absmeyer trying to push himself up on the inside, does so, moves himself into 4th place. It does look like Daniel de Villiers, though, getting a bit of a poor start, getting swamped in through the field, under braking, looking to go 3 wide. Nicholas Manuel up on the inside. Morgan McCall trying to get a little bit more of a jump as well, so the guys really focusing on the charge. Christian Venter, though, losing out that 2nd place to Alan Patterson, and now has to try and close down the gap. Jason Absmeyer running a little bit off circuit. That's allowed Bernard Barkhuizen to try to go around the inside of him. Daniel de Villiers also tucking himself in, trying to get a little bit more of a run. Contact between the two, but it all looks okay. Jason Absmeyer having to do a bit of counter steering there, but that has worked a bit to keep it. Bernard Barkhuizen having to come off the throttle. Daniel de Villiers further down through the field, trying to make his way up. Nicholas Manuel trying to close down the gap. And Daniel Petro a little bit further down. He has actually dropped down to 8th position at the moment. He's got Morgan McCall all over the back of him. Killian Rayner also keeping him to, as we heard from Jim going insane, that pit window is now open for these drivers. 55 minutes of racing. Where are we going to see it? Guys have been running some incredibly long stops, as we see. That looked to be Christian Venter going and actually clipping one of the bollards. Now he has Jason Absmeyer behind him. Jason's got a problem. He's Bernard Barkhuizen, Daniel de Villiers, Nicholas Manuel, Daniel Demetros, Petro, Morgan McCall, all trying to get onto the back of him. Then you've got Killian Rayner, who's got Justin Lotus lurking down the inside of him, trying to constantly find an opening in that inside line. The Ferrari looking very stable at the moment. And then you've got Jan van der Merwe trying also his best to keep up into the toe. But watching these rearview mirrors is Eric Costain closing down the gap. Quan Duplessis as well, trying to get a little bit more of a drive. As they come across the line, is now starting to open up just a fraction towards the front. The guys are having to keep an eye on. Quan Duplessis, though, was actually the quickest lap time from the start of the race. So, bit of contact. I do think that was a little bit of late braking between Christian Venter against Alan Patterson. So let's actually take a look and see what happened there. Christian Venter trying his best to get on the brakes a little bit later, close down on Alan Patterson. Alan runs off circuit. Christian getting a much better drive now, dives up on the inside, hard onto the brakes, and just understeering into the side of Alan Patterson. So no harm, no foul there, but definitely trying to push that a little bit harder to close down the gap. And unfortunately, a little bit of contact. Unfortunately, no damage, but the guys are definitely going in feeding. Bernard Barker isn't starting to close down. He's going up to Jason Abschmeyer. Jason Abschmeyer now has the gap closed down to Alan Patterson, so Alan's going to have to go very defensive here. Nicholas Manuel, he is down in 7th place, trying to work on the inside of Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. Not able to do it just as yet, has to follow through. Morgan McCall trying to close down the gap, unbreaking as we're going very, very late on the brakes and trying to push a bit hard. Further back though, we've got Grant Sebastian. Those for 14th and 15th. Grant Sebastian and Quan Duplessis going at one another. A couple of guys have opted to do an early pit stop. Jean-Ray Bertha actually going into the pits. Conrad Forsberg, Tini and Kube. Quil Moton actually coming out of pits and getting a stop-go 30-second penalty. That is for coming off the pit limiter a little bit too early. That's going to hurt. That's a second pit stop he does not need. Loic Randabel getting a pit stop. Oh, as it looks to be one of the Evolved Racing, and I think that was Christian Venter. Yep. Landing up in a world of hurt, closing down onto the back of Loic. So let's see what happened. I think possibly just came up at an almighty pace, not quite expecting Loic Randabel to be at the slower pace, and lands up shooting off the circuit just to avoid contact. It's going to the helmet, up on the inside. Oh, no, actually collecting one of the sausage curbs. And that is one of the difficult things about the circuit. Oh, a little bit into the fencing, but not too bad. Now just has to try and get himself going. But that drops him way, way down. As we can see, the ZRC Scuderia team getting ahead of him. Quan Duplessis trying to get a little bit more of a charge just later. So Christian getting that little bit of a jump over the curb has propelled him back further down through the field. It does look like Jason Abschmeyer has also slowed his pace up a little bit, but not Yonka landing up a little bit further down. Cameron de Bastos, old Tabasco, going and having a bit of fun out there. He is chasing after SESAs at the moment, and just seeing Christian Venter ahead of him. He's now having to just try and think very carefully what's going to be the best option for him. Tries to look on the inside, backs out of it, and you can see SESAs in that ZRC Scuderia Ferrari trying his best at the moment to keep onto the back of Quan Duplessis, who actually gets all kinds of wrong, losing up a lot of time. That's allowed SE to close down the gap onto him and really start putting the charge. Christian Venter, though, going after Justin Lotus, has got right onto the back of him, seeing that Justin is hustling his teammate along. It does look like Jason Abschmeyer is going to just try and push a little bit harder. Christian Venter, though, lining himself up on the inside, going to brake hard into turn 1. And you can see Andre Serradio in the Mercedes right behind, a little bit further down the field. He's trying to make up a bit of time, and Justin Lotus running a little bit wide. That has cost him time. And Quan Duplessis saying, thank you very much, I'm going to dive up the inside. So does SESAs, and Quan Duplessis gets turned around, and so does Justin Lotus. The two Ferraris pointing in the wrong direction, and that has really changed the game out. A couple of guys really having to take evasive maneuvers here, but it looks like Daniel de Villiers is actually landing up with a bit of damage to the front of his car, and I wonder, just wonder if there's been a slight bit of contact with the cars that were turned around. He just kind of arrived on the scene. I know a couple of guys landed up having to take evasive maneuvers. You can see him going into the corner, blind right-hander, really turning in and with nowhere to go. He was able to keep it, so damage must have occurred somewhere else in the field, but as you can see, you just kind of arrive on the scene and hope that you don't land up with a problem. So guys have to be well aware of the situation. Graham Moll, though, he's in a bit of a charge just ahead of him. Cameron de Bastos also trying to make up a bit of positions as they're looking to go forward wide. And Dean Cabasa also making a great leap forward. Daniel the Hitman de Villiers going around the outside, dives up on the inside, slight bit of contact. Oh, bit of contact, and that looks to be Graham Moll having a bit of a run in with Tiana's Bertha from the TTH car. And that has allowed the likes of, I think that was, it wasn't Daniel de Villiers that got the jump there. That was another one of the PWSR cars. That might have been, no, not Alan Patterson. One of the PWSR cars, I do apologize, going and getting the jump up ahead. A couple of guys pulling into the pits though, getting themselves sorted out. Jason Abschmeyer opting, he's going to pit now because of the traffic. Andre Serradio moving himself up into 11th. He's on a good charge, but it has got Ramonionka and Dean Cavassa trying to close him down. Daniel De Villiers trying to get a little bit more of a run, and Cameron de Bastos diving up on the inside. These two know each other too well. Oh, contact between the two, but gotta give it up for a very interesting run. And Cameron actually coming to a stop. Oh, and it does look like one of the Team Tryhard cars going and landing up with a bunch of contact there. That is William Wentworth having to slam on the anchors. So Cameron going and landing up with slight contact between the two, opting to stop, allow to give the position back and allow the guy to move back onto the racing line. Unfortunately, just kind of in the wrong spot. And it's a very, very difficult situation that you do want to give the spot back. So possibly a thought process that can go into things like this for the drivers is to get told move offline or move off circuit, allow the guys to go and then follow suit. So it's just something that everyone is working on to improve and try and figure out the best strategy. But with these very, very tight circuits, there is no room to give at this point. Nicholas Manuel doing everything he can. Morgan McCall getting very unsteady right behind him. Gideon Rayner going on the defensive at the moment. He's trying to hold back Nicholas Manuel. This is a battle for 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. Morgan McCall getting right onto the back of Nicholas Manuel. Now trying to push a little bit harder into the toe. And Nicholas now going a little bit defensive. Goes out very wide. Now just trying to keep right into the slipstream of Gideon Rayner. And that Porsche pulling him along, but under braking, the BMW just seems to be slightly more superior and managing to close the distance. But Morgan McCall actually carrying a lot of corner speed through turn 1. Now it's going out wide into the blind right-hander. Does look like Nicholas Manuel trying his best to lock down that inside line to ensure that nothing happens. A little bit further down, Eric Christain and Jan van der Merwe going at one another. They're keeping a very, very close run. So Eric Christain having to go very defensive. Jan van der Merwe not making this easy for him, going to keep pressurizing him. So as the race starts to open up, more and more guys are starting to come into the pits. Grant Sebastian is actually first of the guys that has completed all his pit stops. He's got Daniel Petro trying to chase him down in 19th position. And they do have Mahath Musa in between them that's going and kind of putting a little bit of spacing. But this really does show the guys taking an earlier stop, trying to look for an early advantage at this point and see what's going to carry them forward. So in a 55-minute race, and I'll put it to you guys, the viewers, the spectators out there on the Raceface grandstand at the YouTube, and I just got to say, what would be your strategy? The earlier pit stops, do you think that's more beneficial to get you going, to try and avoid the early concertina but land up in the traffic a little bit further down, or is it going to be the later pit stops? Let's take a look though. So far the pit stops Grant Sebastian did was 21.3 from entrance to exit with a 5.7 second stop. So just going and putting in just enough fuel. Daniel Petro was actually a 20.3 from entrance to exit, so he was able to carry a bit more pace with a 13.5 second stop, so he was at a longer box time. And so we're looking roughly about a 25 to 21 seconds in terms of entrance to exit, and with a stop we're looking roughly about, I would give it about 6 seconds, 10 seconds. Daniel De Villiers getting past Graham Ball, who actually dropped the wheel off dirt. So, yeah, this is very, very difficult, and guys are really having to work a little bit harder. But thank you very much for joining us, and if it does sound like I'm missing a person tonight, it is because my teammate is actually racing. So a fellow commentator is racing this evening. So a big shout out to young man Chris, who is currently in his own race. And by the sounds of it in my ear, which you guys can't hear, yeah, it sounds like he's had a bit of an interesting run at this point. Gideon Rayner into 4th place, 5th place. Morgan McCall trying to close down the gap underneath him. Nicholas Manuel trying to get a little bit more of a run up right behind him, really pushing as hard as he can to try and get a little bit more of a charge, which is absolutely great to see. Morgan trying to push that a little bit harder, and with the coaching that's going on from Robert McCall and Junior McCall, you can be sure he's trying to get that little bit more pace. We did see the McCalls early on in the season were together in the championship, but it does look like Morgan is carrying the name at the moment, so the racing family now having to take a look. But we've also got Robert Wentworth that's going and putting out support for his brother William Wentworth, who is out on circuit as well. So good to see the guys all joining in and having a bit of fun as a family. Nicholas Manuel trying to close down onto the gap. He's got a lot of support from his ZAR team. that have been really getting behind him. Morgan McCall running into slight contact with Gideon Rayner, having to get a little bit slow, opting to get into the bits, so that allows Gideon Rayner to get by. Nicholas Manuel going and launching past. Eric Kirstein now trying to get into the toe, and Jan van der Merwe in 7th place, also getting into that toe, trying to pull himself along and get a little bit closer. Just maybe he'll be able to do it. Diving up on the inside, opting not to, and actually, what on earth did he try and do there? And no offense, ladies and gentlemen, I actually want to go back and try and evaluate what on earth happened. Did he get a snap? Was there a snap oversteer that came in and exit? So into turn 1, down into 3rd gear, chucks it in, keeping on the power, into 4th, goes out, looks on the inside, opts not to, outbrakes himself, and that throws him off dirt. Okay, so under the braking marker, tried looking for the inside line, realizing that he wasn't going to make it, and opts to go and rather put himself into the dirt to avoid from any further damage to the competitors. And that's actually a very clever process, a very clever thing that we see a lot of drivers do, is to try and save each other's races and not land up taking unnecessary hits and contacts, such as rubbing his race. As we know, anything can happen. There's a lot of non-intentional contacts that happen, but having the avoidance like that, where it is sacrificing your own race, but you come back for another fight. A couple of guys have pulled in, as we can see on our timing. Grant Sebastian leading out everyone that has pitted at the moment. So Grant Sebastian hoping that he can get a little bit more pace, with Morgan McCall trying to chase him down. Daniel Petro, third of everyone that's gone and pitted so far. But let's head back up to the front and see Ryan Ottens opening up a 6.7 second gap over Alan Patterson. Bernard Barkhuizen in 3rd place. Nicholas Manuel in 4th. Eric Kirstein in 5th. 6th, Jan van der Merwe. Christian Venter. Essie Estes. Andre Serradio. Romano Jonker. It does look like Tianas Bortha is going to be coming past. Daniel De Villiers, Gideon Rayner is in pits. That's going to allow Justin Lotus to take 13th position. Grant Sebastian may be able to take a position if Gideon Rayner just managing. Nope, Grant Sebastian getting by. Morgan McCall getting by, really putting on the pressure to him. Gideon Rayner coming out into the 3rd, and Morgan McCall running over the curbs, just going a little bit too wide. That understeer going and playing into effect. Gideon Rayner getting a little bit caught out, and that's allowed Daniel Petro to really come from yards back to go for a pass, and well, didn't quite work out on the exit. Lost a lot of drive, but it was a full send of note to try and lock down that inside line. And it's good to see the guys taking a little bit of a risk, but at the same time just have to be very, very cautious as we head to Graham Mull. He ended up putting a wheel off dirt and having a bit of a rough time out there. That Porsche just not looking as connected as what he wanted to be. Gideon Rayner, Daniel Petro all trying to get up a little bit more of a move on these two, Morgan McCall and Grant Sebastian. This is a battle for 14th and 15th position at the moment. One of our closest battles on circuit. Does look like Morgan making it stick, slides it out. Grant Sebastian trying to chase him down. The tail starting to slide out on these Ferraris, which tells me the tyre degradation is starting to come into play in 38 minutes of the race complete. Daniel the Hitman De Villiers actually landing up going off circuit. So what on earth happened to him? And let's go into his helmet cam, because we just saw the yellow flags flare up on the screen. So accelerating down, going after one of the Team Triad cars under the Snetterton bridge, hard onto the brakes, trying to keep it all together into the right-hander, over the sausage curb, and there we go. Roundy, there she goes. Where she stops, well, no one knows. That's kind of the unfortunate thing when it comes to this type of circuit, is you do get these massive sausage curbs that literally just take the wheels right up into the air. You've got no contact. You can actually beach yourself. The GT3s are actually quite well known to beach themselves onto those curbs in real life. So in sim, they just make you become an Air Force pilot quite quickly. So the guys are having to be very, very cautious over it. It's just such a fine line, because if you don't go as close as you can to the curb, you can lose out at least 0.5 of a second just by missing the curb or getting too far away from it. You can understeer off into the dirt quite quickly. So the gamble's there on whether you need to really take that charge and go for the pass or go for that more aggressive line with the risk of catching the curbs, which does happen. You can just go a little bit too quick and land up in a bit of a wrong time. So the guys have to be so careful of things like that and ensure that they don't get caught out as time goes on. But this is what it is. This is why people need to really push the limits. It takes a lot of practice to get there. So let's take a look at the moment as Tim the cameraman showing us a couple of the cars. Ryan Otten's out in first place, started in third, so he's holding the same line position he started. Alan Patterson up 1 position, Bernard Barcase up 4 positions, Nicholas Manuel up 2 positions, Eric Kirstein up 11 positions from when he started, Jan van der Merwe up 8 positions from when he started, SESA is up 10, Andre Soradio up 18 positions, Ramona Yonka up 15, Tiana's Bertha up 17 positions, Justin Lotus down 1 position, Robin Call down 4 positions, Grant Sebastian up 5 positions, Daniel Petro down 3 positions, make it 4. It's going to get Rayner going and battling it out as they get onto the power, so these two going to slug it out. Hard under braking. Gideon Rayner though has got the outside line. He's going to get pushed off into the marbles, has to try and pull the car back. He's got Mahath Musa just going and keeping a very close eye on him, but Daniel Petro not giving Gideon Rayner any room to go, and does look like Mahath Musa trying to push the drivers along at this point, trying to get them a little bit more towards the front, saying, listen, come on, we've got to get a little bit more pace here, we've got to get some timing out here. And you guys having this little squabble is not helping to close down the gap ahead, such as to Morgan McCall. So these are getting a bit hustled from what we call back marker at the time. Gideon Rayner just out braking himself though and losing it out. So just a simple thing like that, getting unfortunately tunnel visioned, does land up. And that's something also to bring up is tunnel visioning, especially on this circuit with how close everything is. So if we go into the helmet cam, just imagine getting these blinkers put to the side of you, like the racing horses. They've got blinkers off to the side. You start tunneling in, you start focusing on the car ahead of you, ignoring everything else around. You can quite easily miss your brake marker. That's exactly what happened. Missing his brake marker, not by much, by about 5 meters into the corner. He just carried too much pace into the corner, had to hit the brakes and just couldn't get it through. Was able to pull back, minimizing the amount of time lost, but just not enough. Daniel Petro though going and getting a snap oversteer, and that's dropping him through. So let's actually take a look at that, because we were just talking about tunnel vision. Well, I think Daniel landing up with a world of hurt as he made his way around, maybe dropping a rear wheel onto the dirt has caused a bit of a snap oversteer for the Ferrari, which is fairly common for this car. Not a driver's due report if it doesn't quite like you, just runs out wide, gets a bit of a spin, comes across Mahath Musa, keeping his foot buried, just missing, and Gideon Rayner saying, well, I'll take the position back, thanks very much, bud. You offered that, I'll take it with open arms, more than happy. So now Daniel Petro a little bit further back. Ryan Ottenzo leading out the pack. Alan Patterson coming by. He is in second place, trying to close down the gap. 8.5 seconds though. So he has a lot of work ahead of him. Bernard Barcase in third. Nicholas Manuel in fourth. Eric Kirstein in fifth. Sixth place, Jan van der Merwe. Then followed by SESA's Andre Soradia, Ramona Yonka. And 10th is Tiana's Bertha. 11th is Justin Lotus, and then we start heading into the guys that have pitted, such as Morgan McCall, Grant Sebastian, Gideon Rayner, Daniel Petro, Conrad Volkswagen. So a lot of guys have pitted that early on, hoping that it is going to benefit them. William Wentworth, though, kind of in the middle of no man's land at this point, has not pitted. He's still needing to do his pit. He's stuck between everyone that has pitted, so he's got a little bit of a headache at this point to try and figure out when is his time. Maybe run it out that a little bit longer. Try and close down the gap between himself and the rest of the field. That is what I think the gamble is going to be for him. What's going to be the best benefit at this point, to start running it too empty, get as close as you can, and go for a quick in and out of the pits and try and minimize the time loss in that. Just try and maximize a 5-second stop versus a little bit longer. So the guys are having to just try and figure it out. 32 seconds to go though. 32 minutes to go of the race, of this 55-minute race for round number 6 here at Snetterton for the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. And it is just turning into a bit of a thinking game for everyone in the championship. The guys are being well aware of the situation at hand. And Ryan Ottens, who is leading out the championship, needs to start thinking of a long-term run for this and how it's all going to benefit him. So it's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a proper run to the line, but we've also got a second championship that is running in play, and this is to our team standings. And it's kind of a system that people tend to forget about is the teams, because we have got Hybrid Academy 5KDA leading out with ZRC Scuderia in second place, and that is SE Esterhuis that's trying to make up that gap. Then we've got the Evolved Racing in third place, and that's where we saw Jason Abschmeyer and Christian along with Cameron de Bastos. They are lying in third place in the championship. Project Vapor with fourth place. Kinetic Simworks Racing, that's the KSR Vine team, followed by Hybrid Academy Amped. So there is quite a few championship points on the line for the guys. Ryan Ottens, though, at the moment is trying to maximize it. He is currently leading out in the field and hoping that he can just maximize his points. So far, though, he is running away with the championship, 232 points. Alan Patterson, though, is lying second place for the race, so he's looking to try and get a great load of points for his championship. He's a little bit further down in the rankings. I'm just trying to see where exactly he's sitting in the championship. He is lying way down the field at the moment. So trying to maximize the championships towards the end. And this is where it does come a little bit more beneficial for the drivers to just figure out what's going to be the best run for them as time goes on. So let's see how they go. So a couple of guys still needing to pit, and we're keeping a very, very close eye on the racing for that because of how it's all turning out. Because the moment that they come off the gas, the moment they head into the pits is where everything's going to change for the rest of the field, and the guys are going to be well aware of what they need to do. And it's kind of a reacting game at this moment to Ryan Otten. So Ryan's got to pull into the pits, knowing that everyone behind him is going to react to that. They're either going to dive into the pits with him, or they're going to go and run a little bit longer. So it's trying to outmaneuver the field, as you see Graham Ball moving up away from Alan Patterson. So let's see how it moves forward. Daniel Hitman de Villiers, he's going after Tinian Kubet. This is also one of our closest battles, 1.5 seconds. Justin Lotus and Tennis Bertha, 1.5, 1.8 seconds. So the field's starting to open up and split up now. And this is where we're going to start seeing mistakes. Because the trick with the racing now is a bit of an odd one. This is where you actually got to start racing your lap times clocked. So you'll see a lot of the guys have actually got a lap time that's set, and they've got a predicted time on the dashboard as well. They're going to try and keep a positive delta throughout the race, which means they're going to try and keep within that lap time, if not better it, to just ensure that they can close their way to the front end of the field and try and make their way up, especially when you're caught in a bit of a mid-pack or you're away from your competitors, as see William Wentworth getting all out of shape, and the PWSR cars having to take evasive maneuvers at that point and managing to get by William Wentworth, opting that he's going to pull into the pits after that. It's just change the color of his shorts right now, so needs to try to get in and out as quick as possible. Tennis Bertha of Team Tryhard Racing, he's trying to make up a little bit more of a run. He's got Justin Lotus closing down on him, and this is full position. So Justin Lotus trying to get a little bit more pace at the moment and hoping that he would get a little bit more of a run. Taking a look at the times, though, at the moment, Ryan Otten's last lap time was 147.1. So he's trying to get that little bit more pace. He's losing out in sector 2, though. That seems to be the Achilles heel, running about the same time as Bernard Barkhuizen, who's up into second place. Alan Matson actually going and diving into the pit. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about reacting to people into the pits. Alan Patterson opting to pull in. That's going to drop him down through the field and hoping to get ahead of this man, Grant Sebastian, who's going to come by. I think he's managing to do that. Morgan McCall, though, out into the weeds. What on earth happened to old Morgan McCall? And let's see what he's going to do, trying to maneuver his way around, getting into a little bit of a tow, pulling himself along. Ferrari not liking the change, and just running out wide, clipping the dirt, spinning it in front of Loic Randebol, and steering down the wrong way through the field. Just that weight shift through the corner and running out a little bit wide does put a serious amount of load onto the front right of the tyre. And the guys having to just try and combat that a little bit. So the tyre wear is starting to come into play, but also as they get more and more worn out, fatigue starting to come in for all the drivers at this moment. So the guys are having to really step it out and really push as hard as they can to get through that fatigue level. You've got to essentially drive past your limit if you want to do it. But you're also thinking of long-term goal here of what your championship is going to look like come around the end of round number 8. Andre Serradio has got Romano Jonker, who was doing a little bit of drifting at this point, trying to keep himself all together. Justin Lotus trying to close down the gap to them. Tiana Spurther right behind, doing as much as he can to also close down the gap. And these are all the guys that are last to pit, so at the moment from 1st to 10th are still needing to do a pit stop. And that is where it's going to be interesting. Alan Patterson, though, he pitted a little bit late. He's down into 15th. So from 2nd to 15th at the moment does tell me that maybe, just maybe, running out a little bit too long is going to be a bit detrimental to the drivers. And the guys are going to have to be aware of it. You're going to have to start opening up roughly about a 25, 26 second gap if you want to get away with doing a pit stop in and out with minimizing your positions, which at the moment Ryan Ottens is only 20.2 seconds ahead of Bernard Barkhuizen. Bernard is only 5 seconds away from Nicholas Manuel. Eric Steyn is 6.9 seconds behind him, and Johan van der Merwe is within a second at the moment behind Eric Steyn. So the guys are starting to feel that pressure coming into play. Romano Jonker pushing harder and harder as he's going after Andre Serradio, trying to close down the gap. And here's where it's starting to get more and more difficult as time goes on. And you see Johan van der Merwe, he's going after Eric Steyn, trying to get into the toe, pulling himself along. Eric Steyn not backing out of it yet. Is going to just run it out a little bit wide into the left-hander, carry the momentum through. This is with a little bit of follow the leader, be careful of the curb. We've seen that, unfortunately, take a few people's races and send them to the drink. So the guys are having to just really tiptoe their way around, especially as the tyres start to wear out, the grading starts to get a little bit more effect. And you will be sitting about, if we put the tyre life into percentages at the moment, especially for a circuit like this, so 100% is a brand new tyre, it's out there, there's no problem. But as you go on, the percentages start to do it. By the end of the race, it is predicted that the drivers are going to sit with around about 40 to 30% left on one set of tyres without going and swapping the tyres. So they're going to be running it out very, very close. As we see Johan van der Merwe going after Eric Steyn, really battling it out. Eric trying to lock down that inside line, stops it dead on the apex, and just stopping it hard enough there. It looks like he's going and searching for parking there. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Gideon Rayner, though, going and landing up with a problem. And Porsche not having the greatest run, trying to rejoin onto circuit. Did it get a snap oversteer through that final corner? We've seen so many drivers battling. The final corner gets a little bit of a twist underneath it as they do a bit of a change in camber. Let's go on the helmet cam and let's take a look into the left-hander. No, it was braking into the left-hander before it snapped. So braking into the left-hander, that's when it goes and hurts. Just, there's nothing you can really do other than try and hang on with the car and focus and try and make it not rotate. So it's definitely a difficult one. A couple of guys going and heading to the Raceface grandstand saying, track is very easy to get lost on. That is very, very true, especially with the likes of Snetterton. It's one of these circuits with the blind corners left and right. You tend to forget where you are on the circuit. So it would be actually interesting to have a chat to the drivers. I know Humidifier out there going and saying that he gave up after landing up in a bit of an accident. If you are available, it would be nice to just have a chat to you to get a perspective of how it is there on the circuit and what the drivers need to expect. Jan van der Merwe pulling into the pit, so he's getting himself down and dusted. That's going to allow Eric Kirstein to carry on. So Jan van der Merwe needs to get ahead of Grant Sebastian, who's trying to make his way through. So let's see how it works out. But Humidifier, if you're available to have a chat, it would be nice. Get a bit of a perspective of what's happening out on the circuit, and even though whether you've got pace or no pace, it's you're out there with the best of the best in South Africa. You are one of the best and best in South Africa, so it would be really interesting to have a chat with you. Jan van der Merwe getting out behind Grant Sebastian. Grant managing to get by, and he's actually pulling along behind Musa in the BMW, going and closing down the gap. So, if you're looking to join, head to the interview room in the Discord. So, it's in the media. You can see interview room. Head over there and pull you into box to come and chat to me. So, we'll see if we can have a chat to one of the drivers. Tini and Kube, Conrad Volkswagen going and battling it out with one another. Hard under braking, really trying to keep up the momentum at this point, and is trying everything he can on the brakes. And Tini and Kube just going out a little bit later. Which voice channel? Media room. You go to media room, go to interview room. You'll see it's right up to the top. Scroll right up to the top of Discord. You'll see it there. So hopefully that helps. Here we go. Here's Loic. Let's have a chat to him. Loic Randall. Good. Let's have a chat to Loic Randall. And glad to have you here, Loic. Now listen, just to find out, it turns into a very difficult circuit. You've had some really good runs. So far the two UK circuits haven't been your favourites from what we've seen. But Snetterton, one of those circuits, as you brought up, you can get lost very, very quickly on. It's one of these, the left and rights can get lost in it. The blind corners, you tend to forget which circuit you're on, which parts of the circuit that you're on. Take us through a lap around it. I know it was a difficult race for you. That's why you're in the grandstands here. But just give us a bit of a perspective from a driver's point of view of the championship and also just this race in particular. Yes. Do apologise. It looks like we're getting too much audio. Let's try again. Do apologise that. Like, yeah. So just. Sorry about that. If you can repeat what you were saying, I do apologise. You did talk about Gideon Rayner outbraking himself into the second last corner, and it just getting the Porsche getting a bit of a snap oversteer. You said that's where you've been struggling with as well.
Yes, indeed. It's not really necessarily missing the brakes per se. It's more just the car rotating out from underneath you, the back end, just absolutely going under brakes in pretty much every corner. And it's also really easy to misjudge where to brake as well. I mean, I just literally said 5 seconds ago, it's kind of easy to not outbrake yourself. I mean, some corners in Sector 2, it's pretty easy. Sometimes the brakes work, sometimes the brakes doesn't.
Well, taking a look at the championship so far, it's been a bit of an up and down battle with the entire field trying to figure out what they can do to get themselves towards the front. Guys opting for a later pit stop. Others going for a lot earlier of a pit stop. What is your take on it? We've seen you've actually gone both late and early throughout the championship. Do you feel that there's a set strategy that just works for the 55-minute sprint race with that one mandatory pit stop, or do you think it's kind of a guessing game and you have to react to the cars that are happening around you?
I believe it's a guessing game. It's mainly based off of track position, because ideally, if you're in the middle of the pack, you want to stop earlier or later than the rest, depending on what the others do, because you want clearer air. The dirty air is quite bad, in my opinion. It just really throws you off. I mean, when I was behind the cars lapping me, it was just horrendous. So ideally, you want like the cleanest air possible, but also if you're too far back, you don't want to get lapped very early on and lose more time that way. So yeah, it's track dependent, it's position dependent, it's everything dependent.
So you've just really got to figure it out. And Porsche this season being the new Porsche, your thoughts onto it at the moment? Is it one of these cars that you got to really keep an eye out because it's effective, or do you think that they've kind of missed the mark here with Kunos?
I think it's really effective. I absolutely love it. I love the sound, I love the handling, I love everything. It's better than the old Porsche in my opinion. The old Porsche was a lot more snappy, a lot more rotatey. The good setups that you have with it, very stiff, whereas with this new Porsche, it's more fluid. You have more car control, you have more car control. That's pretty much the main advantage to it as well. Also leading to more precision, and just it's a lot more stable, a lot easier for the new guys to come pick up and just enjoy it.
The Porsche not as daunting as it used to be, as we see Alan Persson going after more than McCall. The new Ferraris also becoming a very effective car, along with the Lamborghinis since the new update. But like, you had a great run in the Endurance Series. It seemed that the UK circuits are not quite your forte. Your thoughts heading into round number 7, now the championship's starting to close up a little bit. Do you think what type of strategies are going to come into play towards the end?
Ooh, that's a good one. So yeah, the UK track's not my forte. I barely even practiced on it, so I just don't know my way around. But I'm excited for Zandvoort. I'm excited to see how it's like. I kind of missed the last part of your question. Sorry about that. But yeah, Zandvoort. It seems pretty interesting. It seems pretty fun. I mean, it's different to what I'm used to. I'm used to the F1 game version of Zandvoort, the updated version. So yeah, I'm very keen to kind of just see it.
Well, the end question to it was the thoughts going into the end of the championship. We see some guys trying to work with their teammates, figure out if they can go for a team championship where they can start trying to help. Do you think there's a strategy to back each other up, or do you think there's more of a strategy of just try and race it to the end? I know in your case you're kind of sitting alone at the moment trying to move yourself forward. What's your strategy for the championship heading towards the end?
My strategy for the championship is just to have fun, honestly. I'm not really in it to like full time. I'm not committing to anything. So yeah, there's that. But for the other teams, however, they will definitely be backing up. There will definitely be a lot of team play going into it. Unless they're fighting each other for the championship, I'm not too sure. Maybe it's who's better mates with the other person. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it'll be very interesting to see how the team play goes in the last, is it 2 rounds left, I believe?
There's two rounds left of the championship of this 8.
Yeah, the last 2 rounds then.
It's gonna be incredible stuff. Now, it's glad to have you in the box, and we're going to ask you the final thing now, is we're going to give you the open mic to challenge, thank, or pretty much open mic to go and say what you would like, if you'd like to thank anyone out there, or if you would like to go and challenge anyone out there or give a bit of thoughts. Just all safe for work, no swearing, but open mic to you. Just speak what comes from the heart or the mind or the stomach, whatever works.
I would like to obviously say thank you to Raceface, thank you to you and Yannaman for the comms and for hosting the servers, obviously. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is one of the only ACC leagues in South Africa, as far as I know, or at least it's the main one. I'd also like to cheekily challenge Jare Botha, because sometimes I'm faster, sometimes he's faster. It's all a lot of good fun, and that's all.
So the gauntlet has been thrown down to Mr. Botha to see whether he can try and carry it to the end. Well, Randall, I think it's going to be an absolutely incredible one. It's fantastic to actually get to chat to you. I know the first time we've actually got to speak to one another, you sent me a voice note just trying to correct the name, and I think that was the last of it. It's always, I've got a question. Have I been getting the name right?
Yes, you've been getting the name correct.
Yes!
Every time.
I'm moving forward in life. It's amazing. Look at me now, Ma. Look at me now. No,
I also believe we've talked to each other. I believe I came for an interview at some point a while ago, long time ago. And I was very awkward then, but yeah.
No, that was last year sometime. But absolutely fantastic, and once again, congratulations on your run for the Endurance Series, and good luck for the rest of it. You got Thursday tomorrow to try and figure out how to get the car a little bit working with you, trying to figure out a bit of pace. I know it's very difficult because we see Christian Fenton and Andre Bertha go and battle it out, but also the track not quite working in the favour of the Porsches. So I'm interested to see how it all turns out tomorrow evening. Thank you very much for joining us in the commentary box. Glad to have you here, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll see you around. Cheers, cheers.
Cheers, cheers. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Loic Randall going and jumping in and having a chat with us. It's good to hear that the guys are able to get a little bit more of a perspective on what goes out there on the circuit. Loic going and saying, listen, it's not his favourite circuit. He was losing time. He'd rather avoid the frustration and come back fighting tomorrow evening for the Grid Championship brought to you by Interstate and Raceface. So, you know, it's a bit of a playing game there, trying to figure it out. But as we'll take a look, a few contacts happening out in circuit. A couple of guys coming into the pits now. Andres Ferrario coming into the pits. Grant Sebastian trying to carry as much pace. We now into the 11-minute mark. So we're starting to get into a very, very difficult situation for drivers to try and push themselves that little bit further. Ryan Otten's out in first place. Bernard Barquez in second. Third, Nicholas Manuel. Eric Costain in fourth. Grant Sebastian in fifth. Jan van der Merwe jumping into sixth. So Grant Sebastian, with an earlier pit stop, has moved himself into fifth position, which is absolutely phenomenal. Jan van der Merwe into sixth. Daniel Demetrius-Petro into seventh. Eighth is SESA's Alan Patterson, Morgan McCall, Ramona Yonka, along with Gideon Reyna, Jean-Ray Bertha, who's out on circuit. We did hear the challenge go out to Jean-Ray from the likes of Loic saying, listen, come at me, let's see what we can do. Jean-Ray Bertha, I think, has got one mark on the board at the moment, saying, well, yeah, got there, it's all sorted. It's you've won this round, next round's going to be different. So Christian Fenton now trying to battle it out with Jean-Ray Bertha. And let's see how it's all going to work out. Taking a look over to the grandstands, we do have Devin Delport out in the grandstands, and yeah, I'd like to, after seeing the racing last night, where Devin, actually, I would call him the new Adrian Newey, because he made an aero modification to a TCR car that improved cooling, it was a drag reduction and a weight reduction all in one by completely removing the front bumper, the entire front bumper, the whole front end of the car, and still managing to pedal it along into a great fight. So good to see that the Adrian Newey, Devin Delport, out and supporting his team, saying ZA Racing team, no team incidents tonight. The guys have been doing well, and that is very, very true. The guys have been really pushing it as hard as they can. Nicholas Manuel actually jumping himself up into third place, so good to see that. And we got the Spinelli going and saying, let's go! I'm nearly running out of air at the same time. Which is absolutely great to see. Bernard Barquez out into first place at the moment. Tim, the cameraman, getting a bit lost. He's also trying to find himself on the circuit. Shame, the poor guy has to run corner to corner to control the cameras. He's one man controlling over 25 cameras at the moment. Tim, the cameraman, fastest man in the Comrades Marathon, never entered. He is the photographer that takes a photo at the end, at the start and at the end, but never enters the Comrades, but always wins. So there we go. You're looking for the guy that was holding the camera during the Olympics and was managed to outrun the Olympic runners. Well, it's Tim, the cameraman. Ryan Otten's in second place, Nicholas Manuel in third, Eric Costain in fourth, Grant Sebastian in fifth, Jan van der Merwe in sixth, Daniel Demetrius-Petro in seventh, eighth is RCSA's ninth, Alan Patterson, Morgan McCall in 10th, 11th is a bit of contention at the moment. Ramona Yonka and Gideon Reyna are giving a good go at one another. Does look like Gideon Reyna diving up on the inside was able to make it stick. Ramona Yonka trying to come back at him with a little bit more pace and trying to take more of an outside line Altman Bertha saying, Tim the man. That is it. He's the man. He's the cameraman. I can see the memes. One day, before I fall over in a box, I want to see Tim the cameraman memes in Raceface. That's my goal. Just to give it pretty much that Stig sort of feel, where the guys come up with all sorts of true, very, very true facts about Tim the cameraman. I'd love to see it, because there's a lot of true facts, very, very true facts about Tim the cameraman. Andres Radio down in 15th. He's got Daniel the Hitman de Villiers trying to close down the gap. We saw Daniel de Villiers having a little bit of a problem early on in the race, where he went off circuit, now trying to close down the gap to Andres Radio, who's actually making some good time. He's caught up behind, I think that's Eric Kirstein. No, it's not Eric Kirstein ahead of him, but one of the team tryout cars. Christian Fenter going around on the inside of Jean-Ray Bertha. Jean-Ray trying to do a little bit of a cutback. Tries to go side by side with him, just not getting the drive needed to go and get himself out. Daniel de Villiers managing to get ahead of Andres Radio with Conrad Volskank, and this is where it's going to get interesting. The police mobile now just starting to chase down the KSR Popo, now lining him up side by side, asking for the driver's license, hooking it into the corner. The JMPD police colored Porsche making its way around. You will not outrun this traffic fine, Andres Radio. Never mind, he's going to just leave you standing. There's a quicker thing to go for. So Andres Radio dropping down into 17th place, with Conrad Volskank dropping into 16th place. 5 minutes and 58 seconds to go of the race. Ryan Ottens now trying to take a little bit more of a charge and pull his way up through the field. He has now pitted, got out, and still maintained his position. Nicholas Manuel in second place, still need to pit. Eric Kirstein in third place, still need to pit. Bernard Barkhuizen in fourth. So there are only two drivers to pit, but Ryan Ottens had enough of a gap. He was stopped for 20 point, from entrance to exit was 20.5. He then stopped for 8.3 seconds, so it was just fuel. No tires through the field from what I can see, other than Jason Abschwein possibly taking a new set of tires. We're getting a bit of repair work done. So a couple of guys just going and running that little bit later into the race seems to have worked. But in general, I do think that it's actually hurt a lot of the drivers in that respect. So a strategy that's worked pretty soundly doesn't seem to work on these more closed circuits like the sides of Alton Park and also Snetterton at this point. Being a lot shorter circuits means that there's not too much of a pull. Gideon Rayner running out wide. Got to be very careful about that, because you can start incurring penalties. You can start getting those corner cuts, and that will come into play. Gideon Rayner keeping ahead of Ramona Yonka. Ramona trying to do everything he can. So let's see if he can close down the gap at this point. 0.4 of a second, closest battle out of the circuit for 11th and 12th position. Everyone else is a little bit more open. Jan van der Merwe trying to close down to Grand Sebastian under braking. That's also turning into a little bit of a lower battle. But so far, two cars going retiring. It's Dean Kabasa and Loic Randabel. I did see Dean Kabasa out in the grandstand, so if Dean Kabasa wants to just have a quick chat, we can get a bit of an idea with him after the race and have a chat to Dean Kabasa, because a little bit earlier in the season he was racing with his brother Mark Kabasa, and that's always fantastic to see. So Dean, if you're still out there, buddy, we would like to have a chat to you after the race. There's contact between Christian Fenter and Gideon Rayner come into play. Christian Fenter moving way off circuit. Gideon Rayner landing up. I want to actually take a look at that contact. It was up on the inside. He's getting hustled along now by one of the PWSR cars. But let's actually take a look. He went up on the inside. I think he just caught the rear wheel arch. Took the dive in. Christian Fenter getting a poor drive. And comes back at him. Oh, there was nowhere to go, unfortunately. And there was a contact to just get him turned around. So Christian Fenter now needing to just try and get himself going. Fortunate enough, not too much damage to the car, but definitely is going to start feeling it. Daniel de Villiers trying to hustle on the long corner, first getting down right behind him. Andres Radio closing down the gap. A couple of guys saying that this track would be great to do some endurance racing. Agreed. It's one of these circuits that I do think that can really change it up. Andres Serradio, monster of a dive up on Conrad Volsking, managing to make it stick. So really fantastic work there under braking, but loses it out on the drive. Going back up to the front though, for 5th and 4th position, Grant Sebastian and Johan van der Merwe battling it out. One person still needing to pit, and that's Eric Kirstein, who's lying in 2nd place. So he has to dive into the pits in the next 1 minute and 16 seconds. Otherwise, he will incur a monster of a penalty. I'm talking about 130 seconds if you don't get a pit stop done and dusted. And seeing that he gets into it, maybe just a warning that he can score a monster penalty like that. But it is going to drop him way down the field. I think he stretched it out a little bit too long, as we see Johan van der Merwe trying to go up on the inside of Grant Sebastian, trying to move his way through. It's going to be a bit of a battle between these two right to the end. They are running similar pace last lap time. Grant Sebastian did a 148.5, Johan van der Merwe 148.2, so it was a little bit quicker, but just not being able to get by at this point. Running into some very difficult racing as they get into the closing stages of this race. So it's going to be a proper challenge. For all the cars, Christian Venter can see starting to drop through the field. He's going after Condu at this point. We did unfortunately lose a car. 29 cars are still registered on the track, on the track or in the pits. They are now needing to try and get finished. But there we go. Our leader, Ryan Ottson's at the moment, still leading out the chart, going to be stretching out at this point. Pit window is now closed, so he's taking it a bit easy. He's going to have one more lap to go. We did try and slow up a little bit. So as we heard from Jim, that he is now trying to get himself going. So this is going to be an interesting. So Grant Sebastian in a 3rd place, battling it out with Johan van der Merwe, Daniel Demetrius-Petro, SCSA's, Alan Patterson, all going after each other. That's from 4th to 7th at the moment. But it is going to be an interesting one. Taking a look though, I think we've lost the driver and working it out through the list. And sorry, I've been taking my eyes off the battles out on circuit. It does look like Alan Patterson getting past SCSA's. We've lost Nicholas Manuel. Nicholas Manuel is out. So Nicholas Manuel has suffered a disconnect, which counts as a mechanical failure, and is out. He was really doing so well, and it's all changed on its head. So Nicholas Manuel, it's just madness. Yeah, Dean Kvasser, if you want end of the race, head to the interview room. We'll have a chat to you. It'd be really nice to have a chat. Quandu Pasi trying to make up a little bit of time on John Ray Bertha, but at the moment all eyes are on this man over here. Ryan Ottson's managing to pull out nearly a 30-second gap over Bernard Barkhuizen in 2nd place as they maneuver their way around the circuit. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to close down, but with a 30-second deficit and 1 corner to go, Ryan Ottens is going to be taking the checkered flag for round number 6 here at Snetterton for the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series, maximizing his points for the season. And at this point, I think he has taken the championship. There is no one that's able to go for it. So, championship, not formally, it's still going to be worked up, but championship does look to be Ryan Otten's to take the sprint series, which is absolutely phenomenal stuff. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, is coming across the line. He's going to be taking 2nd place as he runs across along with Grant Sebastian, feeling hustled. Johan van der Merwe trying to push his way through and get really into the toe, pulling himself along, but it does look like Grant Sebastian eking ahead of Johan van der Merwe right across the line. Then we've got Daniel Demetrius-Petro, Alan Patterson in 6th. Essie Esterhuis will be taking 7th position. 8th will go to Eric Kirstein. He's feeling the pressure from Morgan McCall, but Morgan a little bit too far back to go and fight it out. Ramon Yonka, he's now making his way past, will be taking 10th place. Killian Rayner gonna be taking 11th place. Runs into the grass just a little bit, really enjoying that after a hard-fought battle. Conrad Volsking taking 12th. Andre Serradio up into 13th. 14th, Daniel the Hitman de Villiers. Justin Lotus, Tienes Bertha, Tini and Kube managing just to out-drag Jean-Ray Bertha right to the line. Is it going to be it? Tini and Kube ahead of Jean-Ray Bertha by 0.1 of a second. Kwandu Plessis right behind 0.3 of a second between them. So Jean-Ray Bertha and Tini and Kube, it nearly became a tie. It was nearly a photo finish. So absolutely awesome stuff through the field. And wow, what a race, ladies and gentlemen, for round number 6 of the GT3 Sprint Series. And it's one of these races that can really twist things around, really improve, and, well, gets a bit exciting. So, Dean, if you want to head through to the interview room in the Discord, right up to the top of the Discord, you'll see it. And media room. So you go to interview, which will be great to have a chat. But we'll see if we can get a chat with the other drivers. I know Ryan Otten's going to be having a bit of a chat there. We'd like to have a chat to him. So if the teammates of Ryan Otten's are around, let's see if we can get him in. The unofficial champion of the GT3 Sprint Series for Season 9. So we'll see if we can have a chat to the guys and get a bit of a feedback on a very, very difficult race, and also chat to a couple of guys that we don't get to talk to in the series as well. So, with that being said, let's actually take a look at some of the So, race start, and let's bring in... So, joining in the box at the moment... Joining in the box for the Spinella team is Dean Kabasa. Dean, how's it? You were on the grid, didn't get off to the start. What happened, buddy? Oh boy. Yeah, that. Rather be safe than sorry, sort of thing. Now, Dean, you've been racing quite long. You've been part of the Spinella team. It's been a proper run, and just taking a look. A couple of guys saying they can't hear. There we go. For everyone that doesn't know, so Dean Kabasa was off to a great start. He unfortunately had the headset die out on him, and needing to pit at the end of it. Dean, you're part of the Spinella team that's been really on a bit of a monstrous charge at this point. The championship has been a bit of an interesting one for the team. Take us through a bit of a chat of what happens with the team.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're just a bunch of guys trying to have fun, and the team kind of has just spawned from us just having like fun chats during races and having a ball. I mean, on Wednesday and Thursday it's fairly serious, but on other races on Mondays and stuff like that, it's more chilled. I think we could be doing better this season, but a lot of technical issues and load shedding. But I think we will come back a bit better next time round. But at this stage, in this season, we're just trying to keep our muscle memory up to date. We know we're not in the fight anymore, but hopefully next season we'll be stronger and we'll battle properly.
It's good to see you out there, and we saw your brother early on in the championship having a bit of fun. It's good to see the families coming out and really being part of everything. So it's phenomenal to see stuff like this. The series has been rather difficult, but you guys have been really putting in a great stuff. So to the whole Spinella team, good to see you guys out there, and look forward to seeing what you guys can do in the Ferrari tomorrow evening for the Grid Championship.
Thank you very much. I have charged my headset. I'm going to put it on the charger overnight, and I will not have any hardware problems tomorrow, hopefully. But this was good practice. I mean, I got at least 15 minutes in, and the setup was stable and all was good. So I'm hoping it's good things for tomorrow.
Really looking forward to it. Well, thank you very much, Dean Kabasa, going in and having a chat. All right. Well, moving in, we're going to have the unofficial I'm going to say unofficial because we're still waiting for the finalized points. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give a round of applause for joining me in the commentary booth is, well, if all plays out well, your champion for Season 9 GT3 Sprint Series by one of the biggest margins we've seen here at Raceface for the GT3 Sprint Series, Ryan Hottens. Which one is it again?
What's up, Steven?
Well, Ryan, how are you feeling? I mean, you had a bit of a hardcore race out there. You really had to push a bit hard. Take us through, the race in total.
Yeah, I mean, slightly boring towards the end. I was out front and just managing a gap from about midway, but in the beginning, Alan was keeping me honest there. He's got some good pace here in that Lambo, so congrats to him. And yeah, other than that, just kept it smooth, kept it on track. This track can jump up and bite you at any given time, so I just needed to keep it smooth and bring it home. I knew the championship was a potential thing to get at this round, so yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. I've got to say, you've had a great seasonal run. You've been helping out the team as well. Lots of work going to move forward. Your thoughts on the championship, and especially with the going into the last couple of rounds now, round 7 and 8 in the following weeks. Do you think that the challenge is to try and keep going and really stretch out that gap, or is it going to be focusing on the team championship now?
Yeah, well, it's going to be flat out till the end until we wrap up teams champs as well. I'm not quite sure on the points on that. But yeah, it'll be flat out until that, and I'm a true racer. I can never slow down, eh? I gotta just do as best I can every week, so yeah.
Absolutely incredible stuff. The Hybrid Academy team really working hard, and you guys are also coming to the final of your race to pro, your road to pro as well. So really looking forward to see how it turns out. Well, anything you would like to say before we say goodbye to our champion at this point? Anything you would like to say? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
just as long as it's safe for work.
Just yeah, thanks to everyone. Just going back to Road to Pro, I mean, so far that's been working out great. Last week we had in the Pro-Am Champ, I think we had first and second and fourth in there. Our guys did quite well. And in the Am Gold, I think we had 1 and 3, so took most of the podium spots there. So clearly the Road to Pro is working, and sharing that information that we have all learned over the years with these guys seems to be doing a good job. So proud of those guys. And other than that, huge thanks to Hybrid Academy and all the guys who put in all the work in the background and helped me get to the front. And massive shout out to EG, our title sponsor, who gives us all the right equipment to do the job. So other than that, yeah, and thanks to Raceface and you gents, and we'll be chatting in the future about commentating on a special event race for us, so keep your phone on.
It's going to be awesome stuff. Thank you very much, and congratulations once again, Ryan Ottens, on securing the championship. Really, really well done. Back in the commentary box after his race is Janneman Price. But Janneman, before we jump you in here, we're going to bring in Grant Sebastian, who had a great race out there. Grant Sebastian of the Spinella team having a phenomenal run. Grant, how are you feeling taking a gamble that got you right up to the top? Early pit stop seems to have worked in the favor and has taken all the pit stop strategies for the season where everyone's running as late as they can into the race. You went for a much earlier stop and managed to get into the top 5 and climbed your way up. I mean, take us through what was the decision there that was completely different to the entire season.
Hi, Stephen. Yeah, man, thanks for the interview. So yeah, we had no idea of what to expect. We always look at the first couple of laps and then decide what the best strategy is. Myself and Dan were running pretty close together, and we decided, let's get out of the traffic. We know what our pace is. Let's stick to our pace. Let's not push. Let's not make mistakes. and we're gonna climb up this grid. We knew our tires would last. We had very little wear, so it's looking good for tomorrow. We just had to keep it on track and pick off anyone who stray back marker, or we even gave some people the place back if they were quicker because we had a plan, so we didn't want to get involved.
Oh, it's absolutely, some hard work being done there. And you had to come to blows with a few people that you're very familiar with around the circuit. How was your experience around Snetterton, and do you think that it's going to change your plans for tomorrow evening for the Grid Championship?
Not one of my most favorite tracks, but I do enjoy racing it when I am with my team. We just gel, we vibe well, so they make it fun for me. I knew I had maybe top 5 pace, but I knew my racecraft would put me through, and I thought the podium was on. But we stay pretty humble and we do our best and we keep chugging. These guys are quick. I saw qualifying the top, what was it, 20 within a second. So every bit counts, every lap. Just keep it on the black and make sure you make 0 mistakes and you will get rewarded. So it was pretty fun. At the end of the day, I enjoyed the track.
Absolutely incredible. And I know Janneman was actually out racing. But Janneman, anything you want to ask, considering we're heading into the final rounds of the championship, to Grant Sebastian and the Spinella team?
Well, Grant, there's only a couple of rounds left in the championship. You know who you are racing. It's not the beginning of the season. You know your competition is. What would be your goal for the remaining rounds of the season?
So yes, going back to the beginning of the season, our goal was to improve. We were a team who rebranded. We started the season with a new name, new livery, kind of had some PR in place. Just started to take things a bit more seriously, but our goal was always to enjoy ourselves and to improve. And each one in our team, Dan, Dean, and Kube, they all bring something to the team. So together, I think we've pushed ourselves forward. The remainder of the races will be exactly the same. We figure out our pace, we stick to our plan. We don't worry about those in front of us who are quicker. We know what our strengths are and we'll drive to that.
Absolutely incredible stuff. And Grant, before we let you go, is there anything you would like to say in closing? Safe for work, but you can go and have a bit of a thank you or a challenge or anything that you'd like to get off your chest.
I want to thank you guys, first of all. Every stream since last season when I started watching and investing more time into watching the full stream has been enjoyable. The time, effort, and the quality you guys have brought to Raceface has shown, and obviously the grid has grown because of that. Obviously my team, they're great, they're all great. To Team Vapor, they're a bunch of awesome guys. To Hybrid, we've started to build a relationship there. I'm so happy with what they've done with the road to pro. Congrats to Ryan for just being brilliant. There's a lot to learn from him, so we're even using that. I mean, even though in pro, we can still learn, we can still get to the top. And then lastly, to Bertus, to Hansi, to what's his name, Kruger guy, and there's one more I'm forgetting, Bago. Always in the back, always willing to answer DMs and making sure we have a good platform to race on.
Absolutely incredible stuff.
Oh, and thanks to our sponsors,
Yes.
Savannah and Johnny Red Whiskey. We do not do a race without our drinks.
your courage juice, your apple juices to get you going, especially push you through the more difficult times. No, absolutely fantastic, Grant. Thank you very, very much for joining us in the commentary box. It's absolutely grand to see you. And we look forward to seeing how it all works out tomorrow evening. And getting to chat to Dean Kabasa and getting to chat to you is rather interesting. Well, thank you very much to Grant for joining us. And I did see Alan Patterson was waiting to come in. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get him in time. But big shout out to Alan Patterson of PWSR, who managed to battle it out at front. We saw him for a good bit of the race, was actually running in second place and forcing a bit of a hustle at the moment for Ryan Otson. So seems to be doing very well on the UK circuit. But Gentlemen, we're going to be moving away from Snetterton next week. Going to be moving over to Zandvoort. A little bit more of a difficult circuit for the guys. Round number 7, getting into that closing stages of the championship. It does make things rather difficult, and guys having to refocus their outlooks on, instead of going for position, it's what's going to give them the most points available for the team and for the driver standings.
I mean, absolutely. As you say, we move over to Zandvoort. Zandvoort's actually one of my, favorite tracks to race on. Snetterton, not so much. I think Snetterton, although I didn't watch the race this evening, I tend to struggle with Snetterton. The lap times is not that good, but I normally do quite well at Zandvoort. It's a nice flowing circuit. A pity that we don't have the embankment that they've got in Formula One, the oval type.
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting run indeed. Snetterton always sounds like you're about to sneeze. All right, well, moving on to what's coming up tomorrow evening. We have the Grid Championship round number 6, 8th of June on tomorrow, Thursday. We're going to be seeing the guys battle it out into the closing stages. Massive prize pool on the line of 10,000 Rand, and all the teams and drivers are looking to go and really turn it up to 11 tomorrow evening to ensure they can maximize as many points as possible. Then moving on to the weekend, Raceface Dirt Championship, we move over to the likes of Monaco for round number 6 on a Sunday. So if you enjoy going and slinging a bit of mud, head over to Monaco for a bit of Raceface Dirt Rally 2.0. So head over to Raceface.pro to have a bit of fun there. Next week, we will be heading over to Zandvoort, round number 7. And they're going to be having a bit of fun out and really duking it across the circuit. Let's see how it's all going to work out for the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series as we start getting to a close with the second last round next week. Then we do have the iRacing Raceface TCR League round number 3. That is on the 20th of June at Oklahoma International Raceway. That's also going to be a really interesting race to see if the touring cars are able to claw their way to the front or whether they're going to lose out a bit of pace. But, gentlemen, in closing from your side, in terms of the championship, now starting to get a bit of a wrap-up, Ryan Otten's looking to have secured that first place in the Raceface GT3 Sprint Series. Your thoughts onto it so far, and now I'm going to ask the very difficult question, the very question that all us commentators tend to avoid. With the closing of the championship, what do you think is going to happen next?
You want to put me on the spot there?
Clip this, guys. You need to clip this, and come 2 weeks' time, you play it.
Well, I think in 2 weeks' time, everything is going to be turned on its head. I'm going to come from behind and I'm going to take the championship. How does that sound? That's a safe bet.
It's one way to go and change it out. But also, congratulations on your race this evening. A lot of people going and saying, they were missing you a bit. So, good to see. But, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from myself, Stephen Koenig, and Janneman Press, we'd like to thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the bell notification icon, the thumbs up as well, for if you like the content, thumbs down if you don't like the content. We always enjoy the feedback from you guys in trying to improve the streams every single time we head out on there. And also a big thank you to the very kind words that have been said about the streaming. Got a tear in my eye, I won't lie. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow for the Grid Championship round number 6 as we look forward to have a bit of fun here at Snetterton. Always sounds like a sneeze. But for everyone out there, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.